YouTube, it's finally time for me to do my Corvus review and a guide, because I don't really need to review him. He's fucking amazing. So I've done enough testing to figure that out, and enough people are going to start building him. So figured I'd do a video covering why you should build him, because he's literally, like, I will say this, like, he's the best tank in the game, period. There's really no argument. Excuse me, I'm eating Cheerios. But yeah, there's stuff like Crow. Crow's an amazing tank, but Crow doesn't have self-sustain like Corvus does. So they're effectively they're better at two different things. But I think Corvus fills the tank role, like just being a flat-out wall, better than any other unit in the game. And I'll show you why, and I'll explain why. Talk about some of his builds, where he can be used, how to use him, how to position him, all that shit. So let's just go ahead and get started. We'll go through his skills in the preview skills, but first let's preview his base stats. I just 6-star Awakened Mind a second ago, and it boosted his defense 100, so it was actually awesome. But 630 base defense is really good. You can get away with not, like, running a lot of defense subs, but running a few, you could still push 1600 defense pretty easily, with running like HP main rings and boots and stuff. His base attack is obviously not good, but for the role he fills, he really doesn't need attack. I mean, attack helps everybody do a little bit more damage, so if you have an attack sub on a really good piece of gear with 3 other good subs for him, then it doesn't hurt. His base speed isn't the worst, but it's not the best. It's kind of like, say, a little below average, but for his role, I think it's pretty good. So overall, his base stats are good, in my opinion. Like, they're good for what he does. So let's hop into preview skills. Turn auto off.
I will guide you to the path of light.
Let's talk about his Shield Slam. This is skill 1. Shove an enemy with a shield with a 50% chance unmolled, 75 molled, chance to transfer 1 debuff from the caster to the enemy. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's defense. So what that last line means is that the more defense he has, the more damage he's going to do. So that's the skill 1.
Here.
Skill 2. Attacks all enemies. It's called Macerate. Attacks all enemies with an iron mace, decreasing combat readiness by 20%, unmolled, and 30% molled. When the enemy's combat readiness is 0, stuns for 1 turn. Damage dealt increased proportional defense. So again, the more defense he has, the more damage it does. Combat readiness. If you hit this hourglass up here above this this speed bar, you can see that those percentages there, one of them is already at 0. Okay? So if I were to activate his S2 right now, unless they resist, all these would get stunned. It's a 100% chance. See? They're all stunned.
You to the path of light.
Skill 3, Fury's Advent. He needs Fighting Spirit to get this. To acquire Fighting Spirit, it says at the bottom there, he gets it when attacked or attacking. So he gains 10 Fighting Spirit off his skill 1 and his skill 2, or whenever he gets hit. So when you activate this, strengthens caster with Fighting Spirit for 3 turns, recovering health, and increasing defense for 3 turns. It gives him an extra turn. For his skill 1 Shield Slam, it increases the damage dealt. I'll show modifiers towards the end of the video. I'll look them up and get them in here. I know they're posted on Reddit somewhere. And it has a 100% chance to stun. Then for his skill 2, decreases the enemy's combat readiness twice. So unmolled, it would be a 40% combat readiness decrease. Molled, it would be a 60%, and it's AoE. So that's amazing. So this is a skill 3.
Do you know of the light strength?
Stays activated for 3 turns.
Pray.
Doesn't change animations or anything, but you can't really tell there, but it decreased combat readiness by 60%. And then you'll see here, stun. So that's all that does. Those are his skills. Let's back out of here. He's a really tough unit. Like, he is a wall. For PvP, I don't know if I'd give him an S tier in PvP, but I would probably say he is an A tier. A+ tier. Like, if you were to do it in terms of a tier list. I'm running him on my defense right now, just kind of seeing how it works, because the meta's in a shift right now. We're not seeing too many Dizzies on offense. ML Araminta's kind of phasing out, and people aren't really using her. They're kind of steering towards doing the J. Kisei cleaves and the Arbiter Vildred cleaves, and people are still using Sez cleave, and with Oxlots is still the dominant meta. So I built my defense to be a wall, and I'm not getting attacked a lot. Why did it go all the way out? Okay, let's go back to arena here, and I'll show you my my log. So I lost to that team there because, like, obviously my team's not built to beat that. But people are steering away from that comp. Like, if I had Destina on my team still, that dude probably wouldn't even have attacked me. But down here, as you can see, this comp is stopping Vildred Cleaves because they can't get through the Corvus. Corvus's weakness is you have to stun lock him, or you have to burst him down with a defense break. Otherwise, he's not gonna die. This guy, he just obviously he couldn't get through. He didn't have any hard CC for him. And as, like, for True Soul, he tried to DPS through him. He probably killed every other unit but Corvus. But Corvus is on Durandal, and he just constantly gets pushed forward, and then as soon as it's his turn, he heals for 50%. So he's almost impossible to get through unless you bring a unit or a team to kill him. This team up here, it has silence, and it has a stun, and Assassin Collie, and the BBK's got really good burst. So he probably could have got through him, you know, CCing him a bit. My Corvus doesn't have a lot of effect resist. I'm building Momo to pair with him. And then this dude up here just probably hard CC'd my entire team. So it's no surprise that dude beat me. And then down here, obviously Corvus can get through. No problem. But it is what it is. All these attack losses here into Vildred, I was doing some testing. So yeah, he's definitely solid in arena defense if you have him built like a wall. In Guild War, I don't think I can go and show you my team right now, but I'm planning on running him with Montmorency, like I said, and then either Violet or Charles to have that good elemental coverage. And I think that team will do fairly well. Excuse me, in high tier Guild War. What are we gonna do next? Guess we could talk about builds and artifacts. I guess I could just show you my Corvus real quick. I don't know why I just didn't click him in the lobby there. I'm planning on making him plus 11 when we get the mola refund. But this is my Corvus right now. Once I have Montmorency built, I will take him off of immunity and give him some more defense to make him even more of a wall. Because right now he's on this ring, I would probably change it out for a defense main ring. But he's, as you can see, he's got defense main boots, health, and this has got a lot of health on it. Like he's just, I'll just go through his gear real quick. It's just making him as much of a wall as I can. I would like to get a better sword on him, but this does what I needed to do. I needed a little bit more effectiveness for the stuns and the CR push. I would like to get a little bit more on him. Ideally, I would want like 70-ish, I think is safe for PvP. And then, obviously, like this ring could be a hell of a lot better, but it is what it is. But yeah, these boots are pretty awesome. I wish they didn't have that flat defense stat there, but let's be honest, that 8 defense there is more useful than fucking 8 attack would be, so it's whatever. Effect resist would have been nice. But that's my Corvus. Let's take him, I'll take him into Wyvern so you can see how he performs in there. And I'll just kind of talk about ways you can build him. Let's turn this down a little bit. As you can see, I don't have to run a healer when I'm using him as my my front line, which is amazing. It sped up my runs so much. So, like, I guess I'll just start out with what I think is the best build. I think he's best suited on a counter set. Like, the only issue with a counter set is you're effectively, like, you're missing out on so much stats. So your counter gear has to be really good. Like, you need it to be high rolled, because you're missing out on potentially, you know, an HP sets like 15, 3 times 45% HP, 45% defense, or a combination of those. You're missing out on 25% more speed, which is, for him, it's about 25, because he's got 103. It's a little over 25. Maybe it might round up to 26, but you're missing out on effectively 25 speed. And then, like, if you have a hit set on him, you're missing out on 20% effectiveness. So counter set, you don't get those extra stats, which makes him way harder. Or, like, this works for any unit, like, way harder to gear. So if there's a unit you want to counter, like, you need to have good counter gear. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to make that work well. Another way you can build him is like how I have mine right now. I have him on a speed set, and I forsake the speed boots. That way I could keep him around 150 speed and still have a lot of HP, a lot of defense. I feel like I would get more out of 60% of a stat on my boots, and then just take the speed from the speed set, than I would putting 2 HP sets there and throwing on speed boots. You know, it would probably give me maybe 15 or 20 more speed using speed boots, but I would lose on pretty much like 30% health. So that's why I went that route with this. Speed boots are good. It just depends on how your gear is rolled and how your stats are allocated amongst your subs there. So, like, as you can see, like, I kill Wyvern fast as shit. It doesn't even get the barrier. So yeah, Cigarette puts in work too, which is awesome. Her buff is pretty good, so you get to see her in action here. She does no mola, and she's not even 5th awakened yet. Like, I gotta get her awakenings. I'll probably keep her geared after the free gear removal. We'll see. So, I think I pretty much covered the ways to build him. Like, I don't think he's very effective on high resistance. You can run him on Strax. I guess I can talk about artifacts. You can run him on Strax Gauntlet, but you're going to want to run high effect resist. And he's not really a unit that does really well just like resisting everything. The only thing you'd really, like, he transfers debuffs with his skill 1. So you would really only want to build resist if you're getting hard CC'd all the time, or you're bringing him into something that hard CCs. But alternatively, you could just bring him with something that cleanses, or you can just bring him on like Timeless Anchor, or that artifact that's in challenge, the Kawazu challenge right now. Those can both work on him as well. Like, and pretty much make him immune to debuffs as long as he's getting hit. But personally, I think Durandal is the best. You want him to get his turns as fast as possible, and if he's in a situation where he's the last unit alive against, like, let's say he's on your Guild War defense, and he's there with 2 strong DPS, your opponent is forced to bring sustain, unless they says cleave you. Like, I'm not worried about, like, the fucking this beats everything, so Dark Corvus and says cleave, whatever, that's not something I'm thinking about right now. I'm just thinking about, like, just trying to counter that comp. They're going to have to bring sustain and some kind of high single target DPS to get through you, or some kind of AoE disable like Dizzy. But they're going to have to bring that sustain. If they get into a situation where they kill your 2 DPS after, you know, however long that takes, and they're just sitting there pounding on Corvus, like, a healer hitting Corvus does absolutely nothing but keep Corvus alive, because they're not going to do enough damage to make a difference, and they're just going to constantly feed him fighting spirit every time they hit him. And as you can see here in Wyvern, when he hits 50 fighting spirit, he heals for 50% of his health. It might be a little bit less than that, but it's around 50%. So he's not going to die. And that's how I pulled in some wins on Guild War yesterday. I know for sure I pulled in 1. I might have got another. I went to sleep. But he's just, he does what he does really well. I just brought him in the Hell Raid to test him out in there. He's gonna be amazing for PvE content too, as long as the boss isn't immune to CR push. Like, he's basically Lidica in a tank roll, or Dizzy in a tank roll. Like, all 3 of them on the same team boss is not going to get a turn if they are not immune to CR push. So, like, yeah, he's definitely legit. I think I pretty much covered everything here. He's not really good in PvP offense. Like, I would go and show you, but, you know, there's really no comp that... Like, I did a video that was just kind of trolling, but you could use him against a full DPS team. See if one pops up. I doubt one will, because it's champion, and everyone's running these fucking cancer comps. Let's try one more time. Yeah, there's really no team in where I'm at that could use him effectively on offense against any of these, because he's not going to provide really anything. Yeah, none of those are going to work. But I can tell you he's really good in Guild War offense, because, like, if you have him built on a decent amount of HP, Crow does absolutely nothing to your team. Like, he completely shuts down Crow. That's one thing he's really good for, and Crow is used in a lot of Guild War defenses. Who else is used a lot in Water? Dizzy is used a lot. He can transfer the debuffs that he receives from Dizzy on to other people, which is really cool. Those are really the only two Water DPS that you see in Arena. You might see the occasional Luna, which he can tank Luna really well. Those are the only ones I can think of. The problem with the ice units right now is that they're all fucking healers. You have Angelica Deanne, and you have Angelic Montmorency. So he doesn't really do anything against those, but he's definitely good bait for a Water DPS unit. Or if you have him just as bait, like say they have a fire DPS unit, like Ken, or something like that, and you bring Corvus and 2 waters, or 2 ice units to bait that fire Ken into him, he's good for that as well. You can't really bait ML units with him. I suppose well, I don't know if there's any way you can manipulate an ML. Like, they kind of hit what they want, unless you have the opposite of them. So, usually they'll go for the squishiest target. But that's what I use Corvus for. I'm probably gonna take him to plus 11, like I said, and I'm invested into this character. Like, he's really good. I don't know why I'm sitting in here. So I think that is all I can really go over. If there's anything that I missed, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'll get back to you relatively quick, usually, unless I'm sleeping. So, yeah, I guess that's it. If you enjoyed this video, if it helped you at all, you know, please give me a like. You know, it helps me out a lot. It helps me out with the algorithm. I want to grow this channel. Hopefully my frames were a little bit better. I tweaked some settings in my developer settings on my phone to hopefully increase my FPS, and I changed my settings around on the game as well to try and make the videos a little bit better quality for you guys, because I know that triggers a lot of people. It triggers me too when I'm hitting something with Lytica's S2 and it takes fucking 10 seconds for it to go through. So eventually I'm hoping to get on an emulator and set up a green screen and do shit like that, and that's how I'll do everything. And I'll probably start streaming on Twitch at that point. That's not going to happen anytime relatively soon, but if you like my content, then toss me a subscribe. You know, you'll be around when that happens. If you're still playing Epic 7 a couple months from now, I probably will be playing this game for a while. So you guys have a good one. Peace out.